it would be so awesome. It would be so cool if you watched the Teen Titans Go movie with us today.
What do you say we cut the chit-chat a-hole? I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!
Interesting choice of words.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the beat! Not the beat! Ah!
Oh my God.
I'm a pixie pear! Okay, let's run.
This is the Unbearable Fate of Massive Talent. I'm Brittany Green.
And I'm Liz Kurtzman.
And, we watched the Teen Titans Go to the movies.
Yes. This was from 2018.
Yeah.
It was released 15 years after the original series debuted in 2003.
Which was just Teen Titans. And then they turned it into the show Teen Titans Go.
Yeah, we both watched Teen Titans when we were youngins. Not really familiar with Teen Titans Go.
I remember having watched an episode or two and being like, this isn't the same, and then turning it off, basically.
Yeah.
It is all the same voice cast.
Yes, it is.
Which must make that Teen Titans versus Teen Titans Go movie really difficult to watch with all of the characters being the same voices.
It would be interesting to watch because I feel like they do different they make them sound a little more mature.
Yeah.
In the original series, and in this one they're a little
more
like
have much.
cartoonier.
They really lay on some of like the vocal weirdness of the characters really heavy in a way that was like, did they do? It was making me wonder if they did that as much in the original show, and I just like gave it a pass for some reason. But like the way that specifically Starfire and Beast Boy, specifically like the way that they talk seemed like they were like
their little idiosyncrasies they've sort of amped up.
I
think overall their voices were more cartoony. You know, this is almost like more anime-esque. Or maybe more like Looney Tunes-esque in some ways, because it's a lot sillier and a lot more like visual gags. We just watched a little clip from the old one, and that one, even though it was pretty silly, there were also a lot of serious storylines too.
Right.
Especially like the Slade storylines. Yeah, but this was
it's interesting. I mean, just to like, this Slade storyline is interesting because there were pieces of it that I was like, oh, they did that in Teen Titans.
Yeah.
But they did it in a much sillier way this time.
Right,
because he does have like the mind control thing, and he mind controls Robin into turning against the rest of the group. But it's like via a movie about Robin, and like this whole like much more cartoony.
And Robin's goal to try and make Slade his like nemesis in this, like that he was Robin's nemesis,
right,
in the original series.
But the motivation here was just that he needed an arch nemesis so that they would make a movie about him. Versus, I don't know if we got the whole backstory of Slade in the original Teen Titans cartoon, but like in the comic books, we were just both researching about like the original reason in the comic books why they became arch nemeses was that like in a very, very villain logic-y way Slade blames the Teen Titans for the death of his son, which they had nothing really to do with,
because his son took a contract to try and kill them and died. And it's like, then it's their fault, and it's like, okay, no.
It's the Hive's fault.
It's your son's fault for deciding to be an assassin. Like, I don't know.
They didn't even kill him, like, in the course of him trying to get them, though.
No, he didn't even get to that point. He was trying to give himself superpowers or something. And then died. So they didn't even fight.
He was trying to give him superpowers that were the same superpowers as Slade had.
So it's Slade's fault. Yeah. How'd you feel about Slade in the original?
It's been such a long time, so I can't really say, like, how I felt about him at the time, but I remember him as being pretty scary.
He's very sinister. I also problematic crush on him. Yeah. There's something about his voice.
I think I would remember if I had a crush on him.
It was the confidence. I love a confident man. He made a plan. He stuck to it.
Yeah.
He never quit. And that's a very attractive trait. Anyway, this was the first Teen Titans movie, maybe the only Teen Titans movie that was released in theaters.
Yeah. And
then all the sequels have been direct to streaming. And it, in many ways, is sort of parodying the, just like the slate of superhero movies.
I saw when we were getting set up here, I read this review of the Teen Titans Go to the Movies that was talking about with the slew of superhero movies, we're getting the parodies now, and they sort of likened Teen Titans Go to the Movies a little bit to Deadpool.
Yeah.
Just in terms of how it sort of
comments on the genre.
Right.
Yeah, it's very meta. It includes, like, they do sort of a parody of Marvel's, like, opening production thing. Mm-hmm. And they also include Stan Lee makes a cameo. His only DC cameo. And
it's hilarious that this is it.
I know, and it's very funny. And it was done... He died 4 months after this movie came out.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, this is the first one. But what's really funny, I found this fact. Stan Lee could have made... so, like, the joke is that he doesn't realize he's in a DC movie, and when he does, he's like, oh, I can't be in this movie, and he leaves. But there is a DC Comics character based on Stan Lee called Funky Flashman. He's a comedic villain who's flamboyant and conniving, and he wanted to be a talent promoter, and he was created by Jack Kirby because he was had some bitterness towards Stan Lee for the way he was treated at Marvel, and sort of, as we know, there's sort of an ongoing debate about, like, the legacy of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. So they could have just had Funky Flashman in there, and Stan Lee could have done the voice for that.
That would have been a hilarious.
2 people would have gotten that joke.
You'd have to be a super nerd, yeah.
Yeah, somebody would have gotten it and loved it. But in other sort of similar, I was telling you, Slade in the cartoons is actually Deathstroke from the comics, but they don't use the name Deathstroke because that is, like, too... they don't want any characters to have the death in it in a kids show, even though the old one, the original was pretty messed up.
Yeah. Well, frankly, even in this one, there were some casualties in this movie.
Oh my god, there's some wild casualties in this movie. They are very sort of casual about murdering people.
Yeah.
In a pretty funny way. But
it is funny.
But one of the things, everyone keeps calling him Deadpool in this movie. And he says, no, I was around first. Which is true. Marvel Comics straight up stole Deathstroke and did Deadpool. And in fact, in the comics, his character, like, his real name is Slade Wilson. And they just named Deadpool Wade Wilson.
Oh, wow.
But...
That's crazy.
And then she's called, and then the big reveal is Jade Wilson is actually also Slade. So but now Deadpool is much more famous than Deathstroke, I would say, in the zeitgeist.
Does Deathstroke, is Deathstroke zany in the comics? Not at all.
He's very serious.
Because Deathpool is pretty much always like...
I think Deadpool, when he started, he wasn't as silly.
Yeah.
He didn't have all of the, like, breaking the fourth wall and stuff until a little bit later. Oh my god, what's the name of Rob Liefeld is the artist that straight up stole him. And Rob Liefeld is infamous in comic book world for many things, but one of them is just stealing character designs. Mm-hmm. And also not being able to draw feet. And also not putting too many pouches on people's costumes. If you've ever seen that weird drawing of Captain America where his chest is sticking out, like, it looks like it's 3 feet wide.
Interesting.
That is Rob Liefeld. There's a whole website dedicated to just trashing Rob Liefeld's drawings. And we love it. I'm a big Rob Liefeld hater.
This one? That is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's him. And somehow you can see both nipples of Captain America, even though he's standing in profile. It's incredible. And when he draws characters, they have teeny tiny little dainty feet, so he usually hides feet behind other stuff. It's so good. If you're not familiar with Rob Liefeld, please look him up. You'll get a good laugh out of some of his stuff. And, you know, maybe he'll get a good anatomy lesson one day about how the human body works.
Seems unlikely at this point.
Yeah. But most people probably know Deathstroke because he was played by Will Smith in Suicide Squad and then by Idris Elba in the sequel to Suicide Squad. So he's much more serious in that role. He's just like a serious assassin guy.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, he was straight up stolen, which I find very funny. Yeah. And this is Nicolas Cage's 5th animated movie.
And how did you feel about his part? I was glad. He was actually kind of smattered throughout the movie, and I was worried that like that little section at the beginning was going to be all the Nicolas Cage that we got.
Too.
And I was like, is this really worth it? And then, you know, it kind of was.
I thought it was very funny. He doesn't really... He's doing very, like, sort of straight... He's not really doing anything zany with his voice.
No.
And it's sort of going the other way, where he's being, like, so... you know, white bread sort of.
Just melds in.
Yes. But we do think that maybe Nicolas Cage did...
one of the...
sound effects? Did some of the sound effects?
Yeah, so there was like a point in the movie where they were doing like, boom, bang, zow, like when they were beating up Slade the first time, right?
No, it's when they're trying to go back in time.
Oh yeah, back in time.
And they're trying to get rad enough to like break the time barrier.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
He's like, I think it's his voice. What does he say?
Gnarly!
Sick. Gnarly. And then the last one is rad. And it was definitely, there's a voice filter on it, but one of them sounded enough like Nic Cage that we were like, wait a minute.
Is that him?
I'm pretty sure that's Nic Cage. And they're running his voice through a filter.
Yeah, why not?
Which, you know, you got him there. No one does sound effects better. But yeah, I don't know. I thought he was great.
He really liked calling them, what was it? Goofsters?
Goofsters, yeah.
Goofsters.
He says you guys are a bunch of goofsters. And he says it at least 3 times.
Yeah, several times.
I loved that. I also loved when the movie started and there's like a sign that said Jump City, which is apparently the city they live in, and then the tagline was safer than Gotham.
Where does Superman live?
Metropolis. Which is supposed to be, I think, New York City. Gotham is more like Chicago, I think.
Yeah, that seems right.
I feel like, am I true? Gotham's Pittsburgh.
It was in one of the...
It was in, I think, Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah, Dark Knight Rises. Yeah, because the first 2 were Chicago.
Yeah.
And then they just randomly switched it. And it's super obvious in the 3rd one that it's Pittsburgh. I don't know if you've seen it in a while.
I haven't seen it since I've lived here.
But they do, like, the stadium is definitely Heinz Stadium.
I knew the stadium was because I saw
this... And you will notice that Gotham's colors for their sports team are black and yellow.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. There was a montage someone did of movies that were shot here, the scenes that were shot here, and they had that scene in there. And I was like, oh, yeah.
There's a few movies that I really wanted to watch since moving to Pittsburgh, and, like, I've been here for nearly a decade now, and I still have yet to cross those movies off my list, one of them being Silence of the Lambs.
You haven't seen Silence of the Lambs?
Not since moving to Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Not in the last decade.
Yeah.
But that's in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And apparently the exterior of the, like, quote-unquote prison, the exterior shot, that's the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial.
Yeah.
I have been on a tour of the entomology department at the Carnegie Museums. Because I used to work there. But we got to go on a tour back there, and the same guy that was working in the entomology department back when they filmed it is still there, of course. Amazing. And he's got a picture of him with Jodie Foster and the moths.
Nice.
Because that was not the Smithsonian. That was the Carnegie Museum of Natural History that was.
Did you get to meet Tim Pierce?
You know, I might have, but this would have been well before he was famous.
Before he was social media famous.
Yeah.
He's a treasure. I saw him on the
Tim
balloon.
Pierce t-shirt.
I saw him on the bus once, and I was like, Tim Pierce.
Celebrity sighting.
Celebrity snail man.
He's such a goober.
He's very wholesome, and he just tells snail jokes online.
Yeah, if you don't know who Tim Pierce from the Carnegie Museum of Natural History is, go on TikTok, look him up, watch every video. It's gonna be great. You can watch it with your mom. You can...
The whole family.
The whole family
with your snails.
You can watch it with your babies.
Mm-hmm. Babies don't care. Let's talk about this cast real quick.
Oh my god.
In addition to Nic Cage as Superman,
we have Jimmy Kimmel as Batman.
I love that Patton Oswalt is Adam because I think Adam speaks 2 lines.
He's
the whole movie.
They're both jokes.
Yeah. Greg Davies as Balloon Man was a funny one to me because I like Greg Davies, but I think most people have no idea who that is.
It was a good voice for supervillain.
Oh, he was great. I loved Balloon Man.
Me
Balloon
too.
Man was an incredible scene.
Halsey as Wonder Woman.
What a wild choice.
Yeah.
Will Arnett's Deathstroke, and Kristen Bell as Jade Wilson. Those are probably the 2 bigger roles.
And
Michael Bolton as Tiger.
As the tiger, the
tiger that sings the upbeat song.
There were 2 or 3 songs in this movie. Just 2, right?
No, there's more than that. There was like 3 or 4.
Oh, man.
Because there was like...
I really only remember the rap that happens like 2 or 3 times in the movie.
Yeah, there's the rap.
And then there's the Michael Bolton song with
there's
the tiger.
Michael Bolton song. There's the It Would Be So Awesome song.
Oh, of course. How did I...
And I feel like there's one more. But I can't think what it was.
Oh, we haven't gotten to... Lil Yachty is the Green Lantern. And also maybe does the reprise again at the end.
At the end
rap.
over the
but
credits.
we haven't verified that yet.
And then Will Wheaton is the Flash. Oh, and did you know this? Do you know who Bruce Wayne, baby Bruce Wayne
Hang on,
was?
Lil Yachty does do a remix of...
Of course he does.
So that is almost certainly him at the end.
Do you know who did the voice of young Bruce Wayne?
Young Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, he's got 1 line.
Oh, I do know this. This is not me guessing.
Yeah,
but it is.
You might already know this.
Yeah, it is Kal-El, right?
Yeah, it was
Cage.
his film debut.
Yep.
Yeah, so that made me laugh that he got 1 line in this movie. Yeah, the Balloon Man opening scene is one of my favorite scenes. I thought that was such a funny villain, and then he throws like balloon animals at them. Was great. But yeah, we open with them trying to stop the Balloon Man heist, and it doesn't work because they get distracted and do a rap, and instead the Justice League shows up and stops him, and that's when we meet all of our grown-up superheroes, including our man.
Mostly, so it's definitely Superman, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern are there, right? I think
that's it at the beginning. Oh, yeah, I think you might be right. I don't think Batman is in that scene. Yeah,
because they're all like floating.
They're all flying. Yeah, and she's in her plane. But that's where we get most of the Nicolas Cage lines, and he says "ta-ta" to them when he leaves.
Not a very Superman way to say goodbye.
I think they were going like hard into the like Boy Scout upright, sort of white bread dude. He also gets to call Lois Lane later. He calls her his sweet dewdrop. And they do some little funny jokes. I guess the part where Superman says "somebody save me" when he is frustrated with them, I guess that's a reference to one of the Superman shows. The theme song is "Somebody Save Me." I didn't watch whatever Superman's show that was.
That seemed like something that might have been a throwaway reference, but the way that... Because it seemed odd.
Yes, exactly. Because when I read it, I was like...
that's not an expression.
Yeah, when I read it, I was like, that could not be a reference. But then when I watched it, I was like, it has to be a reference because it's such an awkward thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, instead of, like, I don't know, somebody help me, right? Or...
Yeah. The way that it was delivered was almost like somebody stopped me from the mask.
Yes, that's what I thought too. Like, somebody stop me. Instead he said, somebody help me. And I'm like, Okay, very natural.
Somebody save me.
Yeah, somebody save me. Very natural delivery of that very natural human expression.
The way he was saying it was like the way that you would say, give me a break or something as you walk away.
Because that's really what you would say.
Yeah.
Is give me a break.
Yeah.
When you're frustrated with a group of people. And instead they were like, we'll put in this little reference. And it doesn't really trip off the tongue.
Well, especially when you think about how this movie is meant for, 10-year-olds who probably haven't seen the Superman show with that,
Yeah, but
there are a lot of jokes on
I was gonna say,
obviously, that are, for older people.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's, very silly, so little kids will like it, but then there's also a lot of grown-up jokes that are for the parents.
Well, yeah, because I feel like parody is probably a concept that young kids are not going to get, especially.
Oh, not me. I loved parody.
Yeah.
As a
how
child.
old are you? What age do children start appreciating parody?
For me, it was 5.
It is Teen Titans. I don't know what the target age group for that is.
I don't know who this is meant for, to be honest. I'm not sure what age group. All age groups?
Yeah, I feel like it'd be
for everyone.
Fine, mostly for anybody, as long as you're okay.
There's
with watching
the
them,
Lion King dream that feels like a joke.
Intentionally go back and destroy a planet. Then
that's pretty funny. But there's that dream he has. It's like the Lion King,
right?
Satire or parody.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the joke kids will get.
Kids will get that. Yeah.
But, okay, yeah, so one of the early conflicts, even, I thought this was going to be the crux of the movie, and it just ends up being like a 10-minute joke, if that, is when they go back in time, because Robin wants his own movie. That's the whole plot of this film, is that all these superhero movies are getting made, and Robin wants one for him, but he's just a sidekick, and they don't make movies about sidekicks, even though they're making a movie about Alfred, which they did make a show after this called Pennyworth.
I feel like that's part of the joke.
I don't know if I guess it probably was planned by the time this came out.
I mean, not necessarily that, but the fact that they're making a movie about Alfred is they'll make a movie about anybody.
Yes. Yeah, and they were right.
Yeah.
So he tries to get them to make a movie about him, and they're like, well, you've got to be, more...
The only way I would make a superhero movie about you is if every other superhero on Earth didn't exist.
Yes. So the grand plan is they're going to go back in time and stop all the superheroes from becoming superheroes. Which for half of the ones we see means it's saving them, and the other half is not so great.
Yeah, because they go back in time and they save Krypton.
Yes.
Then, after Superman...
But wait. The way they save Krypton...
Oh my god.
So this
I
is
guess
based
I shouldn't
on...
glaze over it.
You can't glaze over this.
This is the other song that we couldn't think
This is the other song.
Because it is a full length.
Yeah, this is, they go back to Krypton, and it is like the Marlon Brando, I don't remember, Jor-El? I don't remember.
Yeah, Jor-El.
I think that's his name. They're getting ready to send Superman Baby off into space because they can't get the tone crystals. I don't remember this part of the movie. And so the Teen Titans are like, we can get the tone crystals right. And then they basically do an EDM show on the tone crystals.
It's ridiculous.
And it saves the whole planet of Krypton. And great job, guys. And then the next one is Wonder Woman. No.
Is it Batman next?
Next one's Batman, I think. Or
Batman, they just point his parents down Happy Alley instead of Crime Alley.
Yes.
Which, in retrospect... I don't know why they didn't take that route to begin with.
In the first place. And then they're mean to Wonder Woman and steal her lasso. And apparently that's enough to keep her from being a Wonder Woman.
And then they kill
Aquaman. They kill Aquaman by throwing one of those 6-ring...
The 6-pack rings.
The 6-pack rings into the ocean. And I was like, that's so messed up. And then, of course, they go back to the present, and it's anarchy, and all the supervillains are blowing things up, and there's crime everywhere.
So there's an option for me to put a question into Spotify when people listen to this.
Yeah.
And one thing I would like to know, and maybe I'll put this in
please
as our question, is how many people cut the rings on their 6-pack plastic things as a result of seeing the PSAs when they were kids about sea turtles getting tangled up.
I'll tell you what, I do.
I do too.
I was in the Giant Eagle parking lot, And there were 4 of those laying on the ground, uncut, just dirty trash on the ground. I stopped to pick those up and ripped them up because I was like, no sea turtles are going to die today, not on my watch. This is the most effective campaign, I think, that's like ever been run.
Chop up your 6-pack ring so the turtles don't get tangled.
Yeah, I mean, like, who made that? What are they doing? We needed them in COVID to, like, spread... I know. To spread information.
Wear a mask.
Yeah, wash your hands. Get a vaccine. Like, they should have been running that. Yeah, so for one, it's me. I do it.
So there's 2 people here.
Two out of 2 so far.
2 out of 2. 100%.
100% so far. And if you're listening, you better cut up your rings too. If you don't, start now.
Otherwise, baby Aquaman will get tangled up in it and die.
Aquaman will die. Which then they go back again once they see that they screwed up the present. They go back and undo everything they did.
So they go back and destroy Krypton.
They destroy Krypton. The darkest one for me, I think, is when they put a pearl necklace on Bruce Wayne's mom and shove them into Crime Alley to be killed in front of Bruce Wayne. And then they give Wonder Woman back her jump rope and pull Aquaman out of the ocean and take the rings off him. And that apparently puts everything back to rights. And I thought that was going to be the rest of the movie, and that's like 10 minutes, maybe. And then that part's over. And I said, oh, okay.
You know what they could have done so that it would feel... I mean, like, obviously, for the joke. But they could have just gone back in time to before they had decided to go and do that and say, hey, don't do that.
Oh, of course. That's all it would take. Absolutely. But instead, we got a very funny montage. A better
visual joke.
Yeah. Yeah, so then, the next thing that they try is Jade Wilson tells Robin that he needs a nemesis, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things that she says would make her want to make a movie about him. At what point do you think... So we've already said that Jade Wilson and Slade are the same, right? At what point do you think... was Jade Wilson Slade the whole time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because her plan was to make all of these superhero movies so that the superheroes are not doing their jobs. So I think that... And then she's creating this doomsday device, which is basically like Netflix, to stream all these superhero movies with like embedded messages to the people to hypnotize them.
Did she have to make a bunch of superhero movies to get to the point in her career where she... And she also was kind of already... She was already getting the superheroes to build her doomsday device for her.
But they were they hypnotized yet or not? They weren't hypnotized until the end? Well, stardom blinds us all. I mean, it happened to Robin in this film. It did happen to Robin. We saw it happen to him. It must have happened to the rest of them, too.
Yeah.
It does. It doesn't mean that, like...
the superheroes would be smart enough to know if they're building, like, a streaming device versus a doomsday device?
Absolutely not. They're very dumb.
A lot of them are, like, very technologically savvy.
Couldn't be. It does imply that maybe Slade went to film school and created this whole career in order to be like
Jade Wilson.
In order to be placed so that she could make all these films. Yeah. Which is incredible.
It'd be incredible like if all of a sudden Taika Waititi was just actually a supervillain.
And it's just like a 30-some year career that was all leading up to hypnotizing us with the next season of Our Flag Means Death or something. Yeah. They'd get me. Yeah, and I forgot what I was gonna go into next.
Doomsday.
Going
back in time.
Superheroes. Oh, I know, we didn't talk about that they've been, like, meeting Slade and fighting him throughout this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, we did the reveal of Jade as Slade, but, like, they have repeatedly been running into him stealing this crystal and charging it up and creating this device and not realizing that he is the one behind all the movies and stuff. And the brilliant plan that Slade/Jade does is give Robin a movie that is being filmed in the actual Teen Titans Tower. Oh, no, it isn't.
No, she knocks him out with a light, and then when he comes to, they're in the Teen Titans Tower.
And he thinks they're on the set.
Yeah.
Got it. Yep, you're right. Yeah, she turns the Teen Titans against each other, and then gets him to get her into the vault where they've, hidden the crystal that they stole. And there is this, I knew it was going to come back around. The Chekhov's homemade video.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning, when he's really upset that they didn't...
You know what I didn't know was going to come back around?
What?
Baby hands.
Baby hands ended up being a big part of this film.
It ended up being a big callback.
There's a lot of jokes about baby hands. Yeah. There's at least 4. Because they make
the
baby
hands...
It's in the rap. It's in the rap. He gets adult hands when he is filming.
Right.
And then
prior to that, the Cyclops is the first one that brings him up.
Yes. And he says, then I'll be a star with great hair and normal adult hands.
Yeah.
And then he uses his baby hands to slip out of a trap. And then at the end, he has, big robot hands that he uses in the fight. So baby hands was an important part of this film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But... They make this, stop motion felt video of Robin's life and how much he means to them. And, of course, they try to play it for him at the beginning, which was super cute. And he was like, no, I want a real movie. And he didn't finish watching it.
You don't take me seriously because he didn't get past the part where they were talking about him when he's a baby with baby hands.
Yes. And then, of course, it comes back at the end. And when he's, hypnotized, they play it. And it breaks his hypnotism because he loves them.
Yeah.
And then they beat up on giant not Deadpool, giant Slade, and in a giant robot. Of course they win. And, the Batman chasing was maybe my favorite part of that end, though. When the Batman is chasing, hypnotized Batman is chasing them. Bless you.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
And the Batmobile, and then they blow it up, and then it's the Bat motorcycle, and then they blow it up again, and it's a scooter, and then it turns into
roller skates,
and then I think it was just Alfred, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I think he's riding Alfred.
He's riding Alfred. That was my favorite visual joke.
That was really good. Starfire's Batman can't be stopped.
He can't be stopped. They also stopped the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from mutating.
Oh, yeah!
In the montage of stopping superheroes from being made, they're crawling towards the ooze and they just turn them away from it. Yeah, so I don't know, it's fun. It was a silly little movie.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles DC?
No. Oh, wait. Okay, this is an important question because they were actually made as a parody of Daredevil. And
that's Marvel.
Which was Marvel. And it was an ultra-violent comic that was parodying how dark Deadpool was. It was a comic book. Mirage. So I guess it was neither.
Alright.
It wasn't Marvel or DC. And I think maybe Mirage might be owned by DC now, but I'm not sure. Or maybe that's Image. Yeah, so it wasn't part of either one. So I guess they just kind of got to include it anyway.
It's definitely a reference not showing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
yes. Too. Yeah, it doesn't, they probably can legally do that because they didn't show us them mutated.
Right.
They just showed us 4 turtles walking towards a green puddle. Yeah.
Plausible deniability.
They'd be like, those were other turtles. And that green stuff,
it was a puddle.
That was Kool-Aid. It wasn't ooze at all. Yeah, so I don't know. It was fun. There's not really much Nic Cage in it, but his part was fun.
Yeah.
So it's a crisp 90 minutes.
Very crispy.
Which we love. So if you need something to watch, you can watch that. They did tease during the credits
that the original Teen Titans are back.
And they're going to fight them in the next movie. So I kind of want to see that just because I really liked the original.
Yeah. I like having two animation styles fighting each other.
That's fun.
That's fun.
I'm pretty sure that the next one is only like 80 minutes.
Whoa.
Yeah. Even crispier.
Even crispier.
Yeah, so... Any other... Oh, does this have like a rating or anything?
It does, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it managed to make it that far.
It did. It was in the theaters.
It was in the theaters.
It was in the theaters. So, people liked this movie. It was pretty good. It has a 91% fresh rating from critics. And it has a 71% audience score.
That makes sense.
Because people like the original Teen Titans better.
That's probably true. That is probably exactly why.
But yeah, the critics liked it, you know?
It's doing what it wants to do. It's fun.
So, I read this one review that is from The Age, which is an Australian publication.
Okay.
And it was because I wanted more context to this blurb that is on Rotten Tomatoes from this review. And I found that the review itself didn't actually provide more context because I don't know what this person means.
Okay.
It says, the Hollywood Teen Titans Go initially looks more progressive than its real-life counterpart, but the climax gives this a rather different spin. And that is, like, the last line of the article. Like, that doesn't, like, go on to explain itself. They're just like, and that's self-evident. I don't need to say anything more about that.
What are they talking about?
That's why I clicked on it, and I have no idea.
Is the counterpart the original comic? Or the original...
The Hollywood Teen Titans Go.
Which is based on the TV show.
Right.
So are they talking about the Teen Titans Go TV show, or the earlier TV show, or the comics?
I have no idea.
And what do they mean about the progressive, like...
What do they mean by real life counterpart?
That's the other thing, is I'm like... the real life part is the part that I'm like...
Does this person think that the Teen Titans are real?
Does this person think that, like, they are the Justice League or something? Like, I don't know. This doesn't make any sense.
Alright. There's a little bit more context. That is the last sentence of the article.
Okay.
And most of it is, I think I sort of referenced this before, but it's sort of referencing that it's a satire.
Uh-huh.
And most of the rest of this is not poking fun at... Most of the rest of this is not about politics at all. But this does give a little bit more context of what he's getting at. He says, more provocative still is the portrayal of Jade, given the widespread perception of superhero cinema as a male playground and the consequent push to have more women let into the game.
What?
Like, what is... this movie's not a political statement.
It's not. They just made it a woman to throw you off that it was Slade.
Yeah.
They're not making any sort of political commentary there. They were just like, it'll be more shocking if this dainty woman ends up being Slade.
Yeah, it's...
Wow.
They're stretching.
They're stretching real hard with this one. Sometimes it feels like some critics are, like, trying really hard to find meaning in everything, and sometimes a movie is just a silly movie. You know, you can be like, oh, this is parodying superhero movies because we've had maybe too many superhero movies, right? And also the real message is, like, don't invest so much in public perception. Instead, invest yourself in the people who care about you, right? That's the real message of the film.
Yeah.
That's all you have to talk about. You don't have to try and make this a political film. It feels like all the, like, when conservatives get really mad about movies now and claim that they're woke, and then you're like, what's woke about this movie? And they're like, there's a woman in it. Which is basically what this one's doing, except it's, like, not progressive enough to just put a woman in there. I don't know.
Let me read you this other part.
Okay, please.
Still, on the understanding that everything here is just for laughs, Mikhail and Horvath are able to get away with more subversion than might be expected, more certainly than you'll find in the Lego Batman movie or Incredibles 2. In a distinctly modern way, the satirical target is not just superhero movies, but the heated responses to them online. Robin serves as a caricature of entitled fanboy with a chip on his shoulder and a rigid set of views about what he wants to see on screen. Which I at first was like, yeah, okay, but doesn't Robin just want to be a superhero? Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really care about the movie. It doesn't seem like he cares about the movie. Certain beats. He just wants to be like, I want to have cool hair, and I want to have big hands, and, I want my booty to be on television in 3D.
This feels like a stretch.
This is a real stretch. Because I do agree that there are some things that are really subversive in this movie that you won't get. That, the other things they named don't even do. Because, like, the scene where they kill Aquaman with a pop 6-ring is crazy. But they're able to do it because it's this, like, goofy animation style that is super, super unrealistic.
Right.
And so they can get away with some other stuff, but it is for joke's sake and not for, like, political sake.
It's leaning into the Warner Brothers aesthetic.
Yeah, of, like, killing people with mallets, right?
Exactly.
Looking back on that, it's horrifying if you think about Looney Tunes being literal, because people die in horrible ways, but it's a silly cartoon, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So they're really trying with that. And I gotta say, I don't agree.
I don't agree either. I just thought I would bring it up because I'm confused.
This movie is so much deeper than I thought.
Anyways.
Wow, I can't believe I didn't see those messages. That's crazy.
Well, I think it's time for
Inside the Cage.
Beautiful.
Thank you. That's my Superman sort of impression. But, like, the music, okay. Just, like, the sort of style. Anyway, Inside the Cages we're going to talk about, I saw the Flash movie.
I have not seen the Flash movie, but I'm excited for you to tell me all about it.
Okay, so we had debated doing, briefly, we'd not debated even, we'd gone, are we going to have to cover the Flash movie?
I'm glad that you saw the Flash movie so that we can sort of cover the Flash movie now.
Yes, I don't think we need to cover it, because let me tell you, as you probably know by now, there is a Nicolas Cage cameo in this movie, and it is a reference to Superman Lives, the Nicolas Cage superhero movie, or Superman movie from the 90s that was never made. The Flash movie is fine. It's long. It feels long. And I didn't want to, like, I was not interested in it. It's not crispy. It is sort of soft and flabby. And I didn't really want to see this movie. I didn't want to pay money for it because of everything that's gone on with, like, Ezra Miller. And also, it just didn't look that interesting to me. But I was at someone's house, and the person who shares their iTunes with them had bought it, and we went, okay, we'll watch it. Yeah, it's fine. It's just sort of a lot, and the cameos in it are way more fun than, like, everything that's going on with Ezra Miller, who plays, like, multiple characters in the film. So it gets kind of annoying, to be honest. Like, I found his Flash annoying.
Yeah.
And in this movie, he's almost, like, coded as autistic.
Yeah.
Especially at the beginning. And my sister-in-law was like, is he supposed to be autistic? And I was like, I don't think so, but I'm not entirely sure. But so it's a multiverse kind of thing where Flash accidentally creates multiple timelines because he figures out how to travel in time with his powers and stops his mom from dying, which is his whole, like, motivation for that leads him to eventually becoming the Flash. So he saves his mom, but then, of course, things are messed up in the future because he's changed the past. And they meet Michael Keaton Batman, who's great. I loved it, except that he is way too spry for, like, a 70-year-old man. We also got Supergirl, who's great. And then there's this part at the end where, like, they're sort of fracturing time over and over again by trying to just change this moment. And as it's happening, you start to see all these little different bubbles of time.
Is that when Nicolas Cage?
That's when you see Nicolas Cage. So he doesn't even speak.
Okay.
It's truly 30 seconds. And it's, like, digitally de-aged, too. So, like, what he's doing, he is in the outfit that we've seen in the pictures of the Superman Lives, the test promo pictures, with the long hair. And he is fighting a giant spider, which is what they wanted the climax of that movie to be.
Yeah.
So he's fighting this giant spider, and he, like, turns around and, like, smiles. And that's it. That's the whole cameo.
It's the same spider as ended up in Wild Wild West.
Yes. Yeah, so there's actually a whole documentary, I didn't realize this, about that movie that was never made. It's called The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened, and it was released in 2015. And this was supposed to be a reboot of the Superman film series based on the 1992 run called The Death of Superman. And it was supposed to start filming in 1998, directed by Tim Burton, and produced by, what's his first name? John Schnepp.
Okay.
And they canceled the movie before, like, 2 weeks before.
I can't remember how, but wasn't Kevin Smith somehow involved?
I think he was a writer.
Okay.
I think he wrote the script.
Because the reason I know a lot of the story is from listening to him talk about it on Smodcast.
Yeah, I'm on the, like, Wikipedia page, and I don't see... Oh, yeah, so he was supposed to be the writer.
Okay.
Along with Dan Gilroy. And it was also supposed to include Christopher Walken as Brainiac, the villain. Lois Lane was going to be either Courtney Cox or Sandra Bullock. And they also wanted Lex Luthor and Doomsday to be in it.
Is Brainiac the villain that Nicolas Cage said that he wanted to play? No, that was a Batman villain.
Brainiac,
DC.
Yeah, it's DC. He's fought both of them.
Okay, but is that the same one?
I assume so. I don't know. I don't know DC as well as Marvel.
Yeah, but we talked about this on the podcast because this was a news article where people were asking him what supervillain he wanted to play.
It makes sense because he loves DC.
Yeah.
I don't know why he particularly landed on Brainiac, but...
Well, maybe because he was the villain he was supposed to fight in his movie.
Maybe. Now he's older. He's like, I just want to play Brainiac.
Yeah.
They deliberately were going to cast Nic Cage because they wanted to get away from the sort of, like, big, like, himbo, sort of image.
No, he wanted to play Egghead.
I don't even know who Egghead is.
Egghead was originally played by Vincent Price in the TV show.
Oh, hell yeah. I love Vincent Price. I think we did talk about this, and I was like, I gotta look it up, and I hadn't. Yeah, and they wanted...
Egghead, Brainiac, you can see where I got there.
I understand how you got there. But they wanted their Superman to be a little bit more...
It was going to be dark and edgy, right?
And he was going to be a little edgier, so they cast Nic Cage. But yeah, Peters went on to produce Wild Wild West instead, and so he used the giant mechanical spider in that movie.
Yeah.
Because apparently he just really wanted a giant spider.
Yeah.
He must have loved the second Harry Potter movie.
If you're listening to this and you're interested in this topic at all, you should listen to this podcast where Kevin Smith talks about it, because he paints this guy as just, like, obsessed with this mechanical spider, and it's really funny.
He obviously was. It also is rumored... Kevin Smith has also said that John Peters did not want Superman to fly, and he didn't want him to wear his red and blue costume.
Which makes it really hard to make a superhero or a Superman thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, flying is kind of, like, the main thing. But if you think
about it, the one that was eventually made with Henry Cavill, that's kind of the beginning of that movie. Like, he doesn't, like, start flying and wearing the costume until, like, 3/4 of the way into the movie. The whole, like, first part is him just, like, being sad and working on a fishing boat. And
I don't think I've ever heard somebody call him Henry Cavill before.
I don't even know. Is that wrong? Is it Cavill?
Cavill, yeah.
Is it Cavill? I like Cavill.
It rhymes with Cruella de Vil. Yeah.
Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill. Yep. So I can't read, but anyway. Yeah, so that is the cameo of Superman in the newest Flash movie. If you were just going to see it for Nicolas Cage, just look up the scene on YouTube, probably.
Yeah, I feel like I've actually seen pictures of it, and that's all I
That's
need.
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in an interview he even said, if you blink, you'll miss it. And I was like, he's not wrong. I don't even know, like, what... Did he have to go in and shoot anything for that? I don't know. I assume so.
I feel like you could just use one of the TikTok apps that animates pictures.
Honestly, I think that a deepfake would have looked better than this because
God, I hate the
CGI
things.
Oh, me too.
The de-aging things always look so bad.
They look so weird. And the CGI in The Flash is terrible. Like...
They had such a budget. Why?
I don't know. But there's, like, the scene at the beginning when the Flash has to save all these babies from this hospital. The CGI is so bad that I was like, did they not finish it? Like, I saw clips of it before the movie came out, and people were like, this has to be a joke. And 'twas not. 'Twas real. But good news, I think that the special effects CGI folks that make superhero movies just announced that they're trying to unionize. And good for them.
That's good.
Because they get treated and paid horribly. And then we get shitty CGI because nobody respects them. So, we're on your side. Yeah, so that's Superman Nicolas Cage.
Hooray.
Yay, one of the 3 roles he said he always wanted to play. And now he's sort of played it twice.
Yeah.
So, I think that makes one whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it counts. Which means all he has left is Captain Nemo.
Right.
Right. When are we going to get that movie?
Probably never, but...
Well, we'll see. In my heart.
Yeah, so next up, new release. We're gonna watch Sympathy for the Devil, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, we're very excited. It is streaming, and it's not as much as we thought it would be to rent, so we're gonna go ahead and do that one right away.
Yep. So, check us out next time, and stay cagey.
Bye!
It's time we tell it. P-double-N-T-I-T-A